who has seen certain things in life. So a certain type of person, at times in life when someone has done wrong, they get a figure of authority put in front of them. There is a discussion that takes place where the person in authority thinks that they're coming from the right angle.
Well, that was recorded, Paul Smith. We have the live Paul Smith sitting alongside me and Annie here in the Gorilla studio. Great morning for England, Paul.
They've done really well, haven't they? Set your target for 500.
Yes, indeed. And you made what might prove to be a rash prediction at lunchtime. Do you want to share that with the listeners? Ben Stokes.
Remind me.
Ben
200.
Stokes, double 100.
Set yourself a target for 200. If he scores 200, puts England in a great position, and he scores them quick enough, and he's got the time.
Well, he's one of the players that could score them quickly enough, isn't he? Really, I mean, he's been
pivotal.
Superb. He's been superb. I got the impression midway through the session that he was finding it so easy. He was almost trying to manufacture shots that other players wouldn't even think about. Chile was going right across his stumps when they started to try and bowl dry to him outside the off stump. He was coming right across and whipping it into the mid-wicket area.
He's a confident boy, isn't he? He's worked his game out. He can be hugely explosive, or he can block the pants off it, and the more he blocks the pants off it, the more the opposition are becoming more wary about whether he ups the gears and starts accelerating, in which case you can't stop him scoring.
Where do you think, I mean, you've been around the game a long time now, where do you think of the best all-rounders that there have been in cricket, where do you think he ranks? Has he still got a little bit to do, or not really in your mind?
How old is he, 27 years of age?
28, I think 28, something like that, yeah.
So he could, if you say to 33, 34, maybe longer. I think my main concern with Ben would be his body in terms of his knees, how much bowling he can do, how much wear and tear. Some people say he overtrains.
Yes.
So I think it's about managing what you've actually got.
They seem to manage him, though, in his bowling. He doesn't bowl a huge amount, does he?
But that's because maybe they've got reasonable strength in bowling at the moment in terms of seamers anyway. Although we're going to be losing Jimmy and probably Stuart Broad in the next 2 or 3 years, aren't we? If not before that.
Yeah, Jimmy fairly soon, I reckon.
What do you think? Do you think Jimmy can go on? He's a hungry player, isn't he? He seems to still love it.
He's a hungry player. But he's hardly played for 6 months, and yet the one Test match that he has played, he's got 7 wickets, including a fifer. So there's always that carrot in front of you to think that if I can get over this rib injury, play the first Test of next summer in the UK, hopefully play a Test match series and assess it at the end of that, get it to 600 Test match wickets or whatever he's approaching.
Yeah.
There's always that. In life, we'd always like more. Sometimes we're not the decision makers, and if it's your body that's dictating to you, then I think a lot of it is down to how quickly a new blood comes through, and obviously there are people floating around who are pretty special.
Yeah.
But it's whether they've actually got the balls to go out and do it.
From what you've seen around the county scene, who are the guys you'd have your eye on at the moment?
Well, I think most of them are within the England setup. Ollie Stone. Of course, seeing him bowl at Edgbaston every over that I've seen him bowl, he looks as if he's going to get wickets. He just has to find a way of getting on the field and staying on the field.
Yeah, that's his been. Was it stress fracture that he's had?
I think a lot of
something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
I come from a generation where we bowled a lot of balls, whereas they bowl less balls now, and they spend more time in gyms.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced the two go side by side. Just a personal opinion.
You and Gower, I reckon. Yeah.
Me and plenty of other people. It's all very well having the body beautiful, but you don't get paid to have the body beautiful. You get paid to get wickets or runs.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because when there is all this talk about managing the workloads of players these days, I certainly think back. I think Paul and I are around the same sort of generation, and we think back and. One moment they're playing a 3-day match, they're getting in the car, they're driving 400 miles to play the next one, then they're playing a John Player League game or whatever. Yeah. And you think, well, they got through that, or was it that you didn't really get through it and you were going out there in sort of some days not feeling your best?
I think it's impossible in life to feel your best every day, never mind if you play sport.
Whether you go to the gym or not.
Whether you go to the gym or not. I think that we played, and the schedule that we played, people who didn't play sat down and worked out the schedule, the scorecard, the fixture cards for the next summer,
Yeah.
they weren't the ones that were going to have to go out and fulfil it.
Yes.
So in any one week, you could sleep in 3 or 4 different beds, which was strange. Different hotels, go from Scarborough to, to Lords to the Oval down. We didn't have Durham, but I mean, it wasn't in the latter stages of a career. It wasn't out of the ordinary to go from Hove to Chesterley Street, the Riverside. So an element of rigor mortis sometimes when you get out the car at the other end.
Yeah, I can
it's not
imagine.
always pretty.
If it was a Mini or something, and you had to,
It doesn't matter what it was. Might as well have been a hearse.
Oh God. Well, we're going to get underway in the afternoon. It's been a brilliant morning for England. 111 runs added, no wickets fell. There was a little bit of alarm when Ollie Pope was given out LBW, but that was overturned on review. Dane Patterson is going to open after lunch. He's going to be bowling to Ben Stokes. The ball outside the off stump, and it's allowed through the keeper. Now I'm operating in double mode here. I'm actually going to do jingles as well. It could be a disaster.
You haven't done any yet?
I haven't done any jingles, and I'm trying to find them. Where the hell have they gone? Ollie Pope, where are you? Here you are. He's a non-striker, of course. Ben Stokes is waiting, and in comes Patterson, bowls a ball just back of the length outside the off stump. He defends with a straight bat.
I was going to say.
Well, what if it happens if you get into the Ben Stokes jingle? It goes on forever anyway, so we'll just bypass that one.
We know that one
we know
quite
that
well
one
now.
quite well. We've been well acquainted with that one. Now, I did say at lunchtime, if you've got any questions for Paul, to tweet them in, and we'll try and get him to answer them. You may not want to. It depends on what it is. But we'll do our best, and if you put the hashtag, I can't remember what hashtag I suggested, so we'll put them all under one place. In comes Patterson, and, well, I don't think he timed that as he wanted to quite. He was looking to, I think, hit that square, but he's driven it straight down the ground for 4 anyway. Do you think he got that where he wanted to go? He's come down the wicket a little bit. Maybe he did. Maybe he meant that.
Close the face.
Closed the face, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely. The way he came down, I thought he was looking to put that through extra cover, but he just closed the face a little bit.
Looked like he changed his
Very
mind.
controlled shot in the end, wasn't it? Yeah, very
He
good.
looked completely in charge of it.
He did, and he's already, in fact, took 2 or 3 paces down the wicket to get to that as well, to get it onto, well, nearer to being a half volley. This one he does open the face a little bit more, but finds one of the fielders in that ring of 3. I think it was Dean Elgar. And there is no run. 339 for 4 is the score. We'll come to your tweets at the end of the over. Patterson looking for a first wicket. Thought he had it with that LBW shout against Ollie Pope. But that was snatched away from him by Ball Tracker. And so he has to do it all again. 191 now, this partnership worth from 320 balls. Magnificent stuff. Here comes Patterson in bowls. He goes across his stumps a little bit there and then plays defensively. Just drops the ball back up the pitch to the bowler, and there is no run. Anyone joined us since lunch?
Yeah, we've got Matt.
1 or 2.
We got Matt Searle. He's saying, Paul, you've been around some of the best all-rounders and Dermot Reeve. I think that's harsh, isn't it?
It's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Dermot was a pretty good player.
I mean, especially as in sort of latter part of his career as a one-day player, wasn't he? He was, and also quite inventive, I believe. In comes Patterson, bowls, and flicked away almost nonchalantly by Stokes. They're going to get 2 because he's placed it so well. I think that's Rabada coming round the perimeter to do the fielding, and they do get back for a second. 341 for 4.
You actually got on pretty well with Dermot, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I've known Dermot since I was 16. We were on the MCC ground staff as young cricketers. Yeah, and then I obviously came up the road to Birmingham, and he found his way down to Hove, played half a dozen years at Hove, and then came up to Warwickshire and finished his career with us. So, yeah, I had dinner with him and his new wife not that long back.
Oh, right, okay. Where does he live these days? Is he
somewhere on the outskirts of? He lives somewhere within Warwickshire, I think.
Oh, okay, all right. Yep.
Having relocated from Perth, I think he was in Western Australia.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Is that where his new wife's from?
No, she's from Warwickshire.
Ah.
The pull of a woman, you see.
3:41 for 4. It looks like Keshav Maharaj is going to continue after lunch. We'll jingle him up shortly as he bowls to Pope. A little bit of straightening of the ball there, but Pope gets in behind it and defends back to the bowler. And there is no run. Pope is on 75. Maharaj in. Fainted as if he was going to come down the wicket and then went back. Just dropped it into the offside. Was looking for a single, but it wasn't there.
There's a bowler there from South Africa. Started up bowling pair.
He's in, bowls, it's cut to backward point. Best all-rounder. Is that what we're coming back to when you say Jack Callis?
Jack Callis. I mean, it's interesting. Bob Woolmer played a huge part in Jack Callis's development. He came on pre-season tours with us when he was 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blimey. Maharaj in again, and down the wicket comes Pope, but doesn't quite get there. Squeezes it out to mid-wicket, and there is no run. Actually, I think we said that in the green room earlier. We were talking about great all-rounders. I think it was when you guys were on air at the time, and the Bear turned around and said, "Well, you surely got to say Jack Callis." I mean, his figures are fantastic.
Yeah.
Stats. Back goes Pope, cuts out to the edge where Van der Dusen does the fielding, and they take one.
His stats are stocky like him.
Yes, indeed. But I mean, because I can remember sort of almost on it may have been his first tour to England, where they started talking about using him as an opening bowler. And he had good pace then, didn't he?
He had serious pace.
Yeah.
Very strong boy.
Was he quite big at 14?
At 14, he used to carry his cricket. He used to ask me to.
Maharaj in from over the wicket, bowling to the left-handed Stokes. Stokes waits for this, and then just punches it easily through mid-on for another single.
Shark would ask me to drop him 2-3 miles from his home, so he could carry his cricket case with all his kit in on his shoulder and carry it home.
What, to get up to the
And
straight?
when I used to say to him, why? He said, because it's all part of training.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was talk. I saw an interview the other day with Ollie Pope saying that he ran back to the hotel after the Cape Town test with Ben Stokes, just to sort of get an idea of how hard he does train. There's all this talk about how hard he trains and whether he overtrains, of course, as well. 3:43 for 4 is the score. England haven't lost a wicket today, and what's it going to take for South Africa to find the breakthrough here? It's difficult to know at this stage.
Yeah.
Patterson starts new over, bowls to Stokes. Stokes looked like he was aiming to whip that into the onside. Played it straighter than that in the end, up towards mid-off. And there is no run.
They just look so comfortable, both of them, don't they? It's quite pleasant to see, actually.
It's a rare feeling.
I'm quite enjoying this.
Someone who watches England a lot to actually feel this way.
Especially with if you think about the opening partnership as well, I know it wasn't huge, but it was good. For us, it was,
Well, it was something
70-ish, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was the first time that an opening pair for England had batted through until lunch on the opening day since 2009. I was going to say onto the back foot. He's actually taken a step down the wicket. It's a good length ball, really, which he just plays from a static position. And there is no run. Just looking across the ground, it's still a little bit cloudy. There's not been any swing again today, has there? I don't think. The talk that it was going to be more humid, a little bit more humid than yesterday at 75%, but there hasn't been much joy. We should talk about what's going on with Kagiso Rabada as well in a minute. Here is Patterson, cut off the front foot really by Stokes as he again advanced slightly down the wicket. Maharaj is one of two men stationed out there. There's a man at deep backward point, a man squarer than that as well. They just take the single. 3:44 for 4. Yeah, Callis, I think he goes under the radar with people a lot because he wasn't spectacular.
He wasn't as explosive, was he? But I mean, if you want someone to fight for your life, then Jack would be the guy to do it. But I mean, someone like Beefy, Imran, Kapil Dev.
Oh yeah.
There's many fine all-rounders.
Trying to think of others of my generation, great all-round. Well, I mean, both of them was my generation, I suppose. Those sort of guys. Flintoff, do you think he comes into that category?
Really,
at all? Yeah.
Inspirational, yeah.
Yeah.
Match changer.
That's also, isn't that true of Stokes?
Yeah.
If you look at his stats, his bare stats, and he's only averaging as a batsman 36, I think it is. Patterson in, bowls, defended on the front foot by Pope up to mid-on. But you look and see when he does things. I mean, obviously Headingley is that massive example that we've got to fall back on every time now. But, when England needed him to battle through and just stay out there at various times, even in the year before that, he was doing it a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, stats, people make too much of stats. They obviously count for something.
Yeah.
But I go back to, it's not how many hours you spend in the office, it's what you do when you're there. So
Well,
if your runs and wickets count.
that's what I always say to my boss. I get onto the back foot.
Do you not spend?
I don't spend very much out of the office. Defended to extra cover, I think. And there is no run. 344 for 4. Pope is on 76. Stokes is on 116. We'll come to your tweets. Yeah, Kagiso Rabada, I think you touched on it before lunch, has been awarded is not the right word. He's been sanctioned with a demerit point, which takes him to the level at which he's now going to apparently miss the 4th test in Joburg, which is
It's a shame.
it's a
that.
terrible
Yeah.
shame. Patterson in to Pope, and Pope clips this one straight to Elgar at mid wicket. Ball bounces off him as he gets out the long barrier. You don't see the long barrier that often these days, do you, in fielding? The long
No,
barrier?
they do too many fancy runs around
Yeah.
and sort of throws themselves on the floor and things, don't they?
It's always good when you do the long barrier, then it still goes through your legs.
Is the long barrier still in the coaching manual?
I don't know whether there is an official coaching manual anymore. I don't think MCC produce one anymore.
No, it's football, isn't it?
That's true, yes. Yes, indeed.
Oh, I've got a tweet from Michael Keane saying, "Are you commentating on West Indies v Ireland tomorrow?"
Sadly not, because
no, we're a bit busy doing this.
We're busy doing this. We don't quite have the resources to do that. We would, of course, love to do that if we could.
Yeah, great.
It really relies on us getting enormous amounts of money paid to us, and we don't get any. Flicked to mid-wicket by Stokes as Maharaj starts his 43rd over. Figures of 1 for 97. And he's in again. He goes back to this one. Forces through mid-on. That'll be an easy single. Jogs it. 345 for 4. So yes, Kagiso Rabada is now going to miss out on the 4th test, and it created some quite strong debate on Sky at lunchtime, where basically you had Nick Knight, Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton lining up against Rob Key and Mike Holding. I'm not sure who I expected to come out of that in the best shape. Round the wicket to Pope. Pope defends to short extra cover.
2 against 3 though.
2 against 3, but one of the 2 was Michael Holding,
Yeah.
whispering death. I mean, he didn't need to shout in someone's face, did he? He just said, "Your history." No,
He
that was David
whispered in
Malcolm.
someone's
He whispered
face,
in someone's face, saying, "You're not going to be here much longer, mate." Flicked up to mid-on. They're hurrying through for the single. I think they probably would have just got there okay.
Yeah.
That was Rabada, wasn't it, coming in to do the fielding there from mid-on. 346 for 4. You must have faced Michael. Did you face Michael?
Many times, yeah.
How scary was
Jamaicans
he?
don't have to say too much. They, you get my drift. They
I
sort
do,
of
I
eye
bet.
contact
Oh,
tends
yes.
to say enough. And if you know a missile's coming at you at the best part of 100 miles an hour, then you know what. But if you can dish it back, you know.
Yeah.
it's
You
only-
weren't bothered by fast bowling, were you?
Well, I don't think anyone really fancies it too much. But if they get it right,
Stokes comes down the wicket and lofts this one, and he's going to be caught. No, he's going to be dropped. He didn't get the length on that. And who was that coming in off the fence to try and grab that?
He's
low
hiding.
down? He's
It
not
looks-
very, I think it might be Nortje, is it?
Yes,
Nortje, it is Nortje. We'd have to see that again to say definitely that he got hands to that. But Stokes came down quite at the pitch of it. Lofted it, didn't get the length. He's stretching all the time. Oh, yes, it's just on the ends of the fingertips. It would have been a very good catch, I think, to say. He had to come quite a long way.
It would have, but you kind of hope
At test
that would
level,
go.
I suppose you say.
you've got to do better than that.
Yeah, chopped away to deep point, and they take another single. Yes, I can't imagine that you'd want to have too many words back with Michael Holding, would you? Really? I can imagine that would be.
I have tweet. Felix Stock says, "Hi team, good to hear from you. Great cricket from Stokes and Co." Yep. Matt says, "Dual role of commentary and jingles packed with potential. Anyone taking bets on the Stokes C-bomb jingle making an appearance soon?" Messi Jez says, Totally agree about working on the field rather than in the gym. Ken Suttle played 423 consecutive county matches for Sussex,
Wow.
as well as another 189 first-class games and 55 one-day games in his career, and got paid bugger all. Stuff complaints
They
about workload.
They don't know what it's like, do they? This is chopped to gully as Patterson begins his 21st over. That was the 200 partnership up for England, that drop.
Yay.
Yeah, looking at that, the replay from front on, it looked like he went sideways when he should have been coming forward. He kind of misjudged it, didn't he?
It's in the air a long time.
Mm.
I think that's often the key. If the ball's in the air at the right time, it's a matter of timing when you actually get under it.
Yeah, he just got his judgment a little bit wrong there.
Sure did. I'm glad to see Messi Jez is banging the county cricket drum.
Of course. Here comes Patterson, and he bowls to Pope, defends on the back foot, straight back to the bowler. Where do you stand? I saw Graham Fowler, who's occasionally come on Guerrilla Cricket, saying that he went with the Rob Key, Mike Holding logical approach as opposed to the emotional approach of Knight, Nasser and Michael Atherton. Where do you stand, would you say?
What is Foxy? What
Foxy said he goes with logic. He was saying basically having accumulated these points, if it, for that particular offence that he did supposedly against Joe Root yesterday, that wasn't that serious, but it was an accumulation of demerit points that he's got. Now whipped away with a thick inside edge on that, really, as he looked to me as if he was driving more straighter than that. He's got himself a single though, Pope, got to the other end, 349 for 4.
Does the person who's got 9 points on their driving licence consistently drive at 29 miles an hour in the 30? It's very difficult. Yeah,
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
I do up the road. There's a place up the road where you can only go 20 miles an hour, and it's a massive
impossible.
road. Yeah.
Get out your car and walk
I mean,
next to
you're
it.
going along happily at sort of 30 miles an hour, and suddenly you realise you've got £65 to pay.
I think if there's regulations down, I guess you have to abide by them. It's whether the regulations are right in some way, surely.
I think they've overreacted. I don't think he's done anything wrong. He may have been very close to the batsman.
He was. Patterson bowls full.
He hasn't done it
clipped.
straight in his
It's not
face.
physical, is it?
No, he didn't. I mean, they did show some of the other incidences where he did do it much more obviously
Trip someone
in
over?
front.
But that's all in the past, though, yeah?
Yeah,
And
but
yes, there's an accumulation.
accumulation. So yeah.
But what we have seen, he hasn't done anything wrong.
No,
He's
no.
just let the guy know he's just got him out, and he's pretty happy about it. So,
Well, you were a bowler and a batsman, so
yeah.
which way did you look at it? Did you dish it out as a bowler, or were you prepared to take it as a batsman? Onto the back foot goes Stokes and chops it down onto his boot. Ball just rolls out of the crease, and he says, "Can I pick it up and hand it back to you?" And they say, "Yeah, fair enough." Did you dish out a little bit as a bowler when
Yeah.
things didn't go quite?
I think you
to
do
plan?
dish it, but you have to let people know you're about.
Yeah.
Because you know you're going to cop it yourself. We didn't have as many restrictions on us.
No, that's true. It wouldn't have been looked at over and over again, would it? I mean, so especially at county level.
But we play enough televised games.
Yes. Patterson in again, bowls to Stokes. Stokes plays an extraordinary shot. Not quite sure what that was. A chop of some sort in front of square out to Maharaj on the cover boundary. They take a single. 350 up for England, 350 for 4. Stokes 119, Pope 79, end of the over.
I'm very excited that Pavel Florin has joined
Of
us
course,
on
Pavel.
Crick Tracker, and he says, good morning, Pavel. It's not morning really anymore, but
No, that's
hello Pavel. Shaman Ma says good. Nadeem Khan says hi. Imam Bucks Mag says hi. And on Twitter sphere, Mezzy just says it would have to be a remarkable woman to pull me back to England from Perth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, exactly. I mean, you've got glorious weather. Well, I say glorious weather. It's been pretty horrendous, hasn't it, over recent months? But you've got a lot of space. You've got a pool in your back garden. You've got dogs.
Very high temperatures.
You've got very high temperatures.
Yeah.
In comes Maharaj and defended. A little bit of turn there. But, Stokes got his bat right out in front of Pad to push it back to the bowler. Maharaj has now gone past his own century, 1 for 101, into his 44th over, and he's in. Bowls flicked away off his legs. They should come through for a single, even though it's gone reasonably directly to Peter Malan.
Do you think
No, they
he's,
didn't, in fact.
do you think he's there for the rest of the day?
Stokesy,
No, Maharaj.
for the rest of the day. Well, I suppose it depends how quickly England score. Onto the back foot goes Stokes. That's a brilliant piece of fielding, actually, by Elgar. He only saved a single, probably. He came skidding across on his front from mid-wicket to make sure the ball couldn't get past. Maharaj again in. Oh, and out comes the reverse sweep, which turns into something altogether different. It's been swept to extra cover, strangely enough.
They seem to be enjoying themselves. Stokes
Well, I
and
think
Pope, don't they?
this is a little unchallenging for Stokes. He wants more of a he wants more opposition. Maharaj in throws that one up. Oh, now what happened there? He got an inside edge of sorts, and this time Milan goes round to his left to field in a position on the 45.
They've lost the rhythm of it, haven't they?
Yeah,
Batters.
yeah, they have. They have. It's just a little bit. I suppose if it was a full match, you'd say it was a little bit scrappy at the moment. 351 for 4. Stokes onto 120. Pope on 79. And
He's shaking his head, isn't he?
he's a real perfectionist, isn't he? When he doesn't like to miss-hit the ball for runs. Round the wicket now, the left armour, and Pope comes inside the line of it and just plays it back to him. That is the end of the over. 351 for 4. More tweets.
Phil Jones says this is England's highest fifth wicket partnership against South Africa since 1947. 237 Compton and Yardley. Well, there you are. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, and Stokes has had a good record, hasn't he, in South Africa? He's enjoyed it out there.
Yeah, God, yeah.
It really brings out the best, certainly in his batting. That's true.
Joey Grover says, say what you like about cocaine, it can make you inventive.
Well, we won't go there.
Yep. Maybe he's going back to...
I think there's one or two people here. In the green room, we might...
Dave Wood says, with demerit points, how many times a year are you officially allowed to call on an opponent a dick? As a sub-question, who would you save them for?
Oh, well, I mean, David Warner, I would. I mean, even though he's a great batsman. Onto the front foot comes Stokes, defends Patterson, up to mid-off. Ben Stokes is the 7th man in Test cricket, I can tell you, to 4,000 runs and 100 wickets. Oh, now this could be fun. Can you name the other 6?
Come on, Paul. Right.
Botham, Imran, Kapil Dev, Shark Callis.
3 out of 4.
Steve Waugh.
Good call, but no. No. You've got 3 of them, both in Kapil Dev and Callis. Here is Patterson. Ooh, wide outside the off stump. And he's gone! He's gone! He went after that. It was wide. He tried to reach it, didn't really get his foot across, and the catch has been taken at backward point, and Ben Stokes will not, unfortunately, score a double century. He will go for 120 with England on 351. Finally, South Africa claim a breakthrough, and also it's a first Test wicket for Patterson. Stokes goes off. He throws his gloves off to dry in the heat with absolute frustration and annoyance with himself. He rather carved that ball, and Dean Elgar took it comfortably, really, at about waist height, or just below waist height, at backward point. So finally, South Africa have got that wicket, and well, that might slow England down a bit, although there is still Joss Butler to come in next, isn't there? And you may hear certain members of our commentary team sort of going into a strange faint as he comes out to join us.
Pryor ain't no loss, 'cause we found someone Sutler. Okay, he can't spell Joss, but he also can't spell Butler. Joss Butler. Just because he is Joss Butler. 1 S and 2 T's. Joss Butler.
Here he is, out to the middle, and now he could inflict some more carnage on South Africa.
Well, I mean, he's going to go out and hit, isn't he?
Well, I saw him talking in a press conference the other day, and he was going, I'm going to be true to myself, he said. I'm going to be true to myself.
Well, is it fuck it at the top of his bat, isn't it?
Does it still say that?
Oh, I've no idea.
We thought he was such a mild-mannered polite man, and of course he is the man who had "fuck it" written on his back for all that time. We should remember that. He's going to face up to Patterson, who's not quite ready. It seems he just steps back for a moment. We'll come back to those characters who've taken 4,000 runs and 100 wickets in Test cricket. Slip in a gully, short extra. He's in, bowls to Butler. It seems to catch quite low on the bat as he presses forward and runs out into the offside. There is no run. So we've got both of them. We've got Kapil Dev, we've got Jacques Callis. There are four...
Any more?
No, three more names.
Any more
sorry.
Englishmen?
No.
No.
Funnily enough. No more Englishmen.
Any
at all.
West Indians?
Yes.
Malcolm
Yes.
Marshall.
No. No.
Viv.
No. No, no.
Carl Hooper.
Yes. Well done.
Hey.
Carl Hooper, we can tick him off as Butler waits again. Patterson in. Ball coming into him a little bit. Just clips it away to mid-wicket and there is no run.
Any Pakistani?
Wasim Akram.
No, Wasim Akram isn't amongst that number.
He got 4,000 runs.
Yes. 7th man to cricket to 4,000 runs and 100 wickets. So he must be. Maybe he's... Have we got the right... I hope we've got the right ones here, Knuckle. I'm going to have to test you out. Well, Annie, I can say it's someone close to your heart.
No way. I can't believe it.
It is. It is. Someone very close to your heart. In comes Patterson. And defended again on the front foot by Butler. 2 short extra cover. Van der Dusen Fields. That is the end, is it? No, there's 1 ball to go. Yeah, so we're still looking for 2 men. 1 a West Indian and 1 a Kiwi.
Sir Richard Hadley.
That's exactly what I would have thought, but apparently not.
Look, I need to do some tweets.
Okay,
as well.
then, right. Well, but keep thinking while you're doing it.
Matt Searles says Rabada celebrates getting out the opposition captain and best player and gets a ban. Truly crazy decision.
Patterson in to Butler defensive again. And picked up by Van der Dusen at short extra cover. That is the end of the over. The first successful in wickets terms for South Africa today. 351 for 5. England. Stokes gone for 120. Pope still out there. Nope. Any more tweets?
Yeah, and he just says, where is the penalty for slow over rates that affect the game? Chris Paul says, stats aside, Stokes is better than Flintoff though. Flintoff was a great bowler and exciting bat. Difference for me is Stokes' temperament since Bristol has been exceptional, and I agree there. He used that experience to learn about himself, I think, and it tells in his batting.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk in sports, especially these days, about redemption and various things like that. I mean, it goes back. It sort of reminds me of David Beckham and when he sort of flicked out and kicked. It was against Argentina.
Yeah.
And got sent off, and everyone was absolutely massively down on him at that point.
Well, it was a
Yeah,
stupid thing
I
to
know,
do.
but he reinvented himself, didn't he? Completely. Maharaj around the wicket, bowls to Pope. Pope gets right forward in defence, bat alongside Pad, and sends the ball back to the bowler. But yeah, Pope's been a little bit becalmed as well since lunch. Hasn't really had that much of the strike, perhaps. He's on 79, looking for a first Test century. Maharaj tosses this one up, and he drives to a deep set mid-off, who doesn't field it cleanly, Norkia. But did enough, did he? No, he didn't save the single. They did get through for 1. Thought for a moment that he'd done enough to put Pope off that. But brings Butler down to face. We should ask Paul about his opinion of Joss Butler and see if that upsets Annie.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a minute, as he's just having a little look round the field. Just a slip and a very straight short extra. That one turns a little bit, reaching for it, or it runs off a very thick outside edge towards backward point. And there is no run. 352 for 5. Pope into the 80s now. Butler settles down and waits again for Maharaj, and he's defending foolish delivery to that man at short extra or short mid-off, and there is no run. 352 5. Still looking for 2 men. 2 men, a Kiwi and a West Indian.
Kiwi and a West Indian.
This is, of course, according to Knuckle. He could be wrong. I know it's unthinkable, almost.
No.
Defended down the onside of the pitch by Butler. There is no run. But certainly, yeah, a couple of the names that Paul's mentioned, I would have thought would have been amongst those, but according to the stats. Maharaj in again, and this will bring Butler his first run as he opens the face and crafts that away through extra. and he will keep the strike. Yes.
Vittori wouldn't have got that many. It is.
Daniel Vittori,
I
absolutely.
didn't
Good
expect him to
shout.
get that many runs. Okay, I just quickly want to go on to YouTube, and I've got Dan De Castro saying Pope under pressure now, maybe still anchor his end and let Butler be aggressive.
Yep.
Love those jingles, thank you. He says he also says, "Hey, cool, nice to see people with humour."
Who's
Andre Dan De Castro. Andre Collins says, "I see the roof."
You do? Are you lying on your back? What's going on? Whose roof? Which roof?
Steve on Twitter says, "I bang the county drum. I just can't afford any more T-shirts."
Oh, damn. Butler defends Patterson up to mid-on, and there is no run. I see.
Maybe you can tell us why you can see the
Tweet of the
roof.
day.
Oh, Mog says, "Right, what have I missed?"
Well, England batting quite well, Mog. You're a bit late to the party, I'm afraid. You've just missed Ben Stokes getting out after batting really well, along with Ollie Pope. They added over 200 between them before Stokes went. Patterson in again, onto the back foot goes. Butler doesn't really time a shot. Maybe the ball came off a little bit more slowly than expected. Yeah, you need one more. You need one more. Katie, I was going to call you for some reason.
Yes.
One more West Indies
So
player.
West Indian.
Mhm.
Come on, Paul. Come on. You know the West
Don't
Indians.
think I'm not thinking.
He's sitting here going, "Oh."
Mulling.
It's not Viv.
Not Viv.
Is it a modern day player? Modern day player.
Do you want clues? Do you want clues? Is that what you're asking for? Patterson in to Butler, defensive on the front foot.
'Cause
And Elgar picks
it
up.
wouldn't be Holder because he hasn't.
Do you mean Holding?
No, Jason.
Oh, Jason Holder. No, I don't think he's
No.
quite got the weight of Test matches yet to have
No.
done that. No,
It's not Chris Gale.
No, you're missing a really obvious one.
Oh God, I hate that.
Well, man after your own heart. Man dear to your heart, Annie.
But I've already said Viv.
You've said Viv. You're
It's
missing.
not Joel.
No, you're missing an obvious one. Patterson in bowls to Butler. He's a little bit low. He jabs down at that.
God, Gary Sobers.
Gary Sobers! Yeah! You're one of your best friends,
My
Annie.
Bessie mate.
Your Bessie mate, Gary Sobers. Has she told you about meeting Gary Sobers?
She hasn't. No.
She hasn't. That's unlike. That's
Hey,
unlike
look, I'm
Annie.
saving that for later.
Sir Garfield.
Sir Garfield, indeed. I read a really nice interview with him actually in the Cricketer last month. I think there was some quite nice stuff talking about his experiences of coming over here when he played county cricket and how much he was surprised to find the ball moving around. Patterson bowls, onto the back foot goes. Butler forces up to mid-off. Dummy run by Elgar from extra cover means he won't go through for the single. One ball remaining, 353 for 5. We'll have a change at the end of this over. So you'll have to wait to find out Paul's judgment on Joss Butler. In fact, well, we might go and find out.
Yeah,
In the
I
green
might
room.
go and ask him privately.
We'll know before you, listeners. Don't want to make you feel jealous. I suppose we could put the camera on in the green room and you could see what goes on behind the scenes. Not much, really. People just hang
I'm
around,
gonna eat my
sleep and drink
sandwich.
coffee. Final ball of the over then. Patterson in to bowl to Butler. And Butler is forward in defence again. I think that was a maiden, wasn't it? Did they get a single from that over? I think it was a maiden. 353 for 5. There will be a change. Who's coming into ball by ball now? It's the Bear. It's Moore from the Bear. And to take you there, some instruction on how you can help out the show.
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want. /Gorilla Cricket. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want.
Maharaj is around the wicket to Ollie Pope, who just clips it down behind square. Got a single to Falani. He moves into 81. England a 3-5-4 for 5. Butler's just come in, got some evil stares, and I presume a few words as he walked through the South African players. They played a slow-mo of them all giving sort of slitty-eyed glares at him. On the back foot, he's gone, you fucking muppet! Jesus Christ, Butler's gone back. He did what he did in the last test, didn't he? Exactly the same thing. He's gone back, tried to force it, but he's put too much bottom hand in it. He's just spooned it back to Maharaj. He's got his second wicket. He's bowled 45 overs. He deserves that, man. 2 for 105. And England slumped to 354 for 6.
Poor shot, but it's pretty hard to begrudge Keshav Maharaj there.
No, it is pretty hard to begrudge him, but it was a shit shot. I mean, I was just about to come in and give you my monologue about this is the perfect time for Jos Buttler to just play himself in. England to get to 400, then throw everything at it and do what Australia would do and get to somewhere like 550, bat once and win the game. And immediately I've come and Jos Buttler's gone and done that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, 1 off 15, it's not as though he was trying to smash the ball anyway.
No, I know, but it's so bottom-handed, and he got out exactly the same way. It may have been a lot, very recently anyway, if it wasn't the last game.
First test, I think.
Was it the first test?
Well, Dan De Castro on YouTube had said Butler oddly taking his time could go either way. I.e.
Went the wrong way.
Maybe good to get set and or the plan backfires. And then obviously a couple of messages later says, looks like I was right.
Well, Don Best can bat and he got a pair in the last test, didn't he?
He did. He has got some runs against Pakistan I think it was on test debut.
He can't do any worse than the last test. England need to get above 400. I think.
Well, Andrew Colling.
5.
Andrew Colling is with you. Says, well, the 400 is still there. A lot might depend on the man coming in, sticking around with the man well set.
And the man coming in is... Oh, wait, no, of course, it's not Dominic Bess, it's the Demon Boy Child.
Yeah, it's the Demon Boy Child.
Is he a batter or bowler? Some chorus. What's his distinguishing feature? Some chorus. His dad's from Zimbabwe. Some chorus. And he's beloved by Liz Yates. Some chorus.
Yeah, England have done well here, but you've got to push these advantages home. And it's not done yet. And you can always lose 2 quick wickets, but it is quite annoying. Want Ollie Pope to get his ton. I'd love to see that. Changing the field a bit as St. Cowan warms up. Looks like short legs going in. There's a backward point on the 1. There's an extra cover. Mid-off. There's a man in the corner on the 45, straightish mid-wicket, and mid-on who's halfway back to the boundary. There's an easy single there. To tempt him to go over the top, but his first ball props forward. I think it went aerial past short leg, who was diving to his right. He didn't get anything on it. I think it's Peter Milan there, and went out to square leg for no run. Let's have a look here. Replay. Yeah, it was in the air past. He didn't get out poor, and it went a couple of inches past his right hand. Well, there's a kind of backhanded tennis shot sort of swat. A lot of topspin by Sam Curran as he swats it out to cover.
I think England need to reset a little bit here.
Yeah, they do. They've really got to get their heads down. There's a big score to be had here. Foot down a track, defending, there's no run. I mean, I know Australia's flat and all that, but I mean, that's the Test series they played all summer in Australia, and they're at home, and we all know they're really good at home, flat tracks and all that. But I mean, virtually every test you looked up and they got 500, 550 for 6 or something. Oh, there's a peel for LBW's now. It's hitting him outside the line, defending. Turn back into him. Maharaj has got a pep in his step.
Linux Lear has sent a picture that we were all commenting as well during lunch. Michael Holding leaning close into Nasso, saying quite a heated debate, mainly around the right or wrongs of Kagiso Rabada's ban for ungentlemanly behaviour. Linux Lear adds the caption, I think I need to inspect that magnificent beak of yours a little closer.
Yeah, we've asked our Twitter listeners to turn that into a caption competition.
Well, that was one recommended and rather good caption. Comrade Bernsky says, I wonder how many demerit points the gentlemen playing 18th century cricket collected.
Well, exactly,
I mean, W.G. Grace putting the bails back on after you've been bowled.
Umpire's cool. Yeah. Would have been out had the umpire given it out.
Got himself just enough outside
Of
the line.
It did look outside the line to me. Peterson is in. Patterson, sorry, not Peterson. And it's defended by Ollie Pope out to cover, and there's no one. He's on 81. England are 354 for 6 now. Sam Cowan is yet to score. He's faced 4 balls. Patterson got his first Test wicket just before we came in. He's got 1 for 60. He's in his 24th over.
Mashudu Mafaza says, is this a comeback for South Africa? Well, of sorts it certainly is. And England will be, I think, somewhat disappointed, won't they?
Look,
if
they
let this slip.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things, isn't it? If you said at the beginning of the first innings, England will get 354 all out, on yesterday morning we'd have gone, and taking the context of the series as that's driven up to mid-off, there's no run, you'd have gone, yeah, we'll be in a pretty good position at 354 all out.
Points victory, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, I mean, if South Africa come back and get us, I don't know, in the last 4 wickets for 15 runs and we're all out for 370.
I tell you, that sets the game up potentially very, very well.
I mean, you'd say England 370 is a good score, but from here you'd be very disappointed, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, is what you take at the beginning and where you are and what you think you're throwing away. And
it depends at what point you're comparing it to.
Yeah, and that's the mental bridge of a game of cricket. I mean, South Africa down and out. If they did that, they'd be on top. And then we'd have to take some quick wickets and put them down again.
This iPad is frozen completely, so I'm a bit stuck on tweets. Yeah.
I'll just turn it off. Do you know how to do that? It's cut down to go in. There's no run.
I can bring you some other news from around the cricketing world while all that is going on. India went ballistic in the last 5 overs in Rajkot in the second one-day international. They scored 58, I think, in the last 5 overs to score 340 for 6. 53 of the last 5 overs. Shikhar, though, at 96.
Patterson is in and is worked around the corner by Ollie Pope down to long leg and himself a single.
Virat Kohli 78. Both just over a run of ball, and KL Rahul 80 off 52.
I do like KL Rahul.
Yeah, he's a lovely player to watch in Jadeja with a bit of Tonki fun down the end. Mitchell Stark, having been brilliant in the first one-day international, 10 overs, none for 78. Pick of the bowlers definitely Adam Zampa with 3 for 50.
Interesting, maybe spinner's wicket then. I don't know.
Zampa's bowling well at the moment. Rajkot is not generally a spinner's wicket in general. It doesn't turn a huge amount, but Zampa's been bowling well in this series. But yeah, India having stumbled a little bit after the loss of Kohli, went, as you say, crazy in the last 10 overs.
Oh, well, Patterson's going to continue. Sam Curran is facing up to him. A wide stance, and Patterson is almost quiff-like haircut is in. It's just defending to the leg side wide of mid-wicket, allowing him to get himself off strike straight away and gets himself a single.
Gitson Gratz says, definitely side for Rabada on enthusiasm. Warned fine maybe, but no bans unless racial, specifically personal, political.
I know.
Everyone loves a celebration, even if a bit overdone.
I like a bit of banter in my cricket, man. I don't, unless someone's punching someone's lights out. I mean, I like a bit of work. I think it's more, to be fair, I think it's more to do with almost the authorities having to take action because stump mics are up, and so people get to hear this shit. If none of it was heard, I don't think there'd be so much of an issue, to be fair.
I mean, you didn't need stump mics to see what was going on there, to be fair.
When?
With Rabada.
No, but he didn't really do anything. He just celebrated vociferously. Pope goes back, tries to work it down a third man. It's much too close for that.
Comrade Bernsky says, steady Annie.
It needs to get an underedge through the slips, and there's no run.
The next Leah said, time for Butler to earn back his eternal sledgehammer of justice moniker. I think that ship has sailed, although we are behind. Jay Grover says, whose skin will Butler be wearing today? He's already been measuring up Big Vern's gut. Well, he's in
and out.
He's in, out and gone.
1 of 15 deliveries. Caught and bowled Maharaj. Too much bottom hand. Just played it straight back to him. Tame way to get out, really. Oh well. 3, 5, 6 for 6. England 128 overs. South Africa went out. It's also keeping them out there longer, isn't it? Getting them more and more tired, mentally tired.
Maharaj's finger's going to fall off.
Well, at some point, 46 overs or 47 overs he's bowled. You don't often see that in a Test match. And he's continuing over the wicket to Curran. It's spinning quite sharply now out of the rough. As I said, his pep's probably up because he got a wicket and getting his fingers to fizz harder. It's coming back into Curran. He's
doing-
only faced 6 balls.
He's
Never
doing,
easy
well,
to come
sorry,
out.
he's doing well to still keep giving it a rip.
Well, exactly. Defended well by Sam Curran, right forward, and meets the ball, pushes it back.
Arthur
to the
Patricia
bowler.
has a very interesting point. Might
Yes.
need to. I'll slip it in if I can after this next ball.
Well, there's a little bit of chat going on. Curran's had a couple of pretty lean series at the bat. It'd be nice if he got some runs here. He says optimistically. He gets right forward and defends it back to the bowl, and there's no run.
Yeah, Arthur Shear's comment is England have some batsmen who can bat now, and they're off to Sri Lanka, where they'll need a keeper for spinners. So have to assume Joss is on 100 or fuck off watch.
Well, that's very fine. I think that was off the face of the bat. And it's raced down past some short man on 45, who is Patson. He's a very Scot man, isn't he? Looks like a boxer. He gets back for 2. It was leg byes. It wasn't off the face of the bat.
That's a little bit unlucky because Peter Milan for Curran's first ball was backward a square. Curran turned it in front of the square, or it popped up off the face of the bat forward. They've then moved him forward, and it's come off the pad and gone straight through where he was before.
Yeah.
You can't have him everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to pay. You place him for the one that runs off the face of the bat. That's why he's the man on the 45. Maharaj bowls that down the track a little bit. Sammy Curran there gets a bit of a tangle. Under edge drive back to the bowler, no run.
I mean, he's set sort of pretty much on square. It's for the one that Curran comes forward to and pops up off the face.
Exactly, and then it just runs behind. That's nicely played. Curran goes back, plays it with the spin, clips it through the legs of short leg, I think, out to deep mid wicket, and he gets a single.
Yeah, Curran in this series 29, 9 and 13 with the ball.
I've read a lot
With
of
the bat.
articles saying he's reverting to mean now.
Jay Grover says, I just wanted to say I really appreciated Paul Smith's book. Respect. Ali Gonski says, not bad first wicket to take. Very much so indeed. Jay Grover says, Annie, in large letters, Annie reads some fucking tweets, which is why I'm having to gallop through at a rate. I'm not quite sure what Annie's been doing, but not reading by all accounts. Matt Searle, stats for those who scored 4,000 plus runs and took 100 plus wickets. And then he sent us a picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will wait
See,
till
in
after
that
this
one, apart from the fact that I said Jack Callis next door, was he actually in the list? He always
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I was wondering if he's included in my. Of course. Statistics, isn't it? Philander's going to come back into the attack. We'll give him a jingle.
Indeed, hasn't been seen since his brief burst of, I think, only 2 or 3 overs this morning. But he replaces Dane Patterson at the duck pond end.
Oh well, I'm the type of guy who will never settle down. Where pretty girls are, well, you know that I'm around. I kiss 'em and I love 'em, 'cause to me they're all the same. I get so gosh darn hammered, I don't even know their names. 'Cause I'm a philanderer, yes, a philanderer. I sleep around.
That jingle's got sewn to my head the other day. I was trying to think what the original word Philander was put in for, because I couldn't remember.
It's the Wanderer.
Exactly. It's
The
a really
Wanderer,
famous song. Tries to flat back that really through the offside Curran off the front foot. And a square drive, but his bat was at an angle. He got the under edge of it and went out to cover, and there's no run.
With a 4,100 club, I think we went through it because I know you were discussing
Yeah.
them. Callis, Capeldev, Vittori, Botham, Hooper, Sobers, Stokes in that order.
And I can't believe they didn't get Sobers. I mean, Sobers arguably could be considered the best. I mean, that was always what I was brought up to believe when I was a kid. Philanderer is in. Philander even. And it's in my head. And it's driven back up to mid-off and there's no run. 359 for 6.
Phil Jones is saying it was England's highest 5th wicket partnership. We did indeed talk quite a bit about that. In South Africa, and the 9th highest ever.
Wow.
And next Leah has another candidate in the what's Michael Holding saying to Nasser Hussain. What may be old, but I think the two of us together can take a little run. What do you reckon?
Around the wicket, Philander to Curran just defends it up to mid-on, and there is no run.
So basically, Michael Holding's offering Nasser Hussain outside as far.
Yeah.
Messi Jez says, "Oh joy, it's been way too long since I heard you fucking Muppet. Never stop being the bear." Bear.
I won't, don't worry. It hadn't entered my mind. Well, it was Muppety. I mean, these things happen. But in the moment, you're thinking...
Just got a bit ahead of himself, didn't he, with that sort of defensive
in my
push.
mind, I'm thinking you've got oodles of time here. Bat once, bat big, and you make mistakes, and he made a mistake, but he has done that before. It's the strength of his bottom hand, really. Driven aerially past Van der Dussen at cover. He looks ruefully at the sky. He didn't really get anywhere near it, but it was aerial and it was in his vicinity. It's raced away to the extra cover boundary for 4 runs.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
I mean, Van der Dussen's so close at cover, he'd have had to have been Superman to get near that.
Yeah, he's also a lot straighter than where that went. I mean, it was 3 or 4 feet away from him, but I mean, it's a risk, isn't it? You hit up through there, pick the man. I mean, look at the 2 England openers and Van der Dussen. In fact, in the last test, that shot off the hip stroke legs for a ball angling into the pads, it's just automatic for a batsman. And if it happens to, you don't quite get on top of it enough, and most of the time you don't need to because the man's down at long leg, and they put a man there and you hit it straight at him.
Sibley hit it straight to Elgar, but Crawley was a very good catch by Van der Dussen.
Yeah, but again, he was in the vicinity, and he's really, he's quite unlucky as it's defended out by Curran to cover, and there's no run. He only had to be 3 feet either side, which is a slight fraction of a slightly different angle, with a slightly different hand movement on the bat, which the next ball could have been that shot. And it was in his vicinity, he gets caught, but it's a natural reaction for a batsman to play that shot, I think, to that ball coming in at him.
Sibley, I think, executed the shot badly. You could see it hit higher on the bat than he was intending. It kind of came off the splice, so he didn't quite manage to get it down in time. News from the Under-19 World Cup after this.
Philander in bowls, cut square. That's a decent shot by Sammy Curran. There is a man, it's Nortje, out on the boundary. Only get a single, moves on to 7. Yep, go for it.
Dan De Castro said on YouTube, says the current run rate is and will stay well under 3. A point is South Africa won't exceed that. Batting not deep enough, so draw is already in the Pom's pocket, in my honest opinion. And clear favourites to still win.
Well, and I imagine the bookies would back that up.
Although making a prediction at this stage when South Africa haven't batted yet is a bit... England on our friends at Betway are 6-5. The draw is 5-6. Interesting. Which the draw is currently favourite. South Africa 11. South Africa 11-1.
Jay Grover and Linux Lee are both wading in on poor old Joss a bit. Maybe the weight of his crimes are finally weighing on Butler. The blood price can be a heavy weight.
Wow.
And Linux Lear says, that's it. No more Eternal Sledgehammer of Justice or Universe Joss.
Yep.
The Sledgehammer of Eternal Justice was Zoltzman's coinage for Ian Bell.
Yes. I've got my train of thought. What was I getting?
I don't know, but while you're doing that, I can say that Afghanistan are closing in on victory in the Under-19 World Cup.
Maharaj tosses it up and it's defended by Sam Curran back down the track, and there's no run.
So that tournament is taking place in South Africa. It started today, and it's the first game. The host South Africa playing the first game. Got bowled out for 129. The leg spinner Shafiqullah Ghaffari took 6 for 15 for Afghanistan.
Wow. He'll be happy with his day's work. Defended into the ground, up at short leg's chest, and there's no run.
So South Africa collapsed from 62 for 2 to 129 all out, and Afghanistan are currently 128 for 2 in the 24th over. So a thumping victory in prospect.
Right forward, Sam Curran defends. Back up the track, and there's no run.
We'd tweeted the update from the India and Australia game. Australia beset a huge 341. Kurt says, I'd love to see the Aussies chase this down.
Down the track comes Sam Curran. This time he realises he's not there much quicker in his brain, and just defends it back to the bowler. I like that.
They are underway in that chase in Rajkot. They're 7 for no loss after 1.2 overs.
Who's opening? Head and...
David Warner and Aaron Finch.
Finch, of course, yeah. That's a little bit too short by Maharaj, therefore turns down the leg side, and Sammy Curran's allowed to let it run off the face, or his thigh pad, we'll see, and I think they're going to get back for 3 this time. Pulled in just before the boundary. They do indeed get back for 3.
Joe Hurst says cricket on the TV is great, but there's definitely something very peaceful about listening to it on the radio. Are you sure you're listening to the Bear?
Yeah.
But maybe you are.
I can
soothe.
I can soothe. Yes.
You can be emollient.
I can do all things. That was 3 off the bat. Curran moves into double figures. And closing in on 367 for 6. Pope is facing up. It's tossed up. The guy does do that. He's got good manoeuvrability of the ball as Ollie Pope. Little step, gives himself some room outside his off stump and guides it wide of the. There's a short, straightish cover and a slightly deeper cover. Guides it past them to the man square on the cover boundary, and he gets himself a single and off strike.
Edgar Allan Poe says, is Sir Ben of Stokes actually human? He thinks conclusive tests need carrying out. James O'Mahony, I beg your pardon, James, says, Guerrilla Cricket and BBC TMS, can someone please explain to me what exactly is the situation Butler is supposed to arrive in the crease for in Test cricket? Because whatever situation he's in, he fails. When is this going to end and we finally get a proper keeper in the side?
Probably Sri Lanka. Butler has done all right since his return to Test cricket.
He's not done too bad, but he's not set the world on fire like we want him to.
No.
And I think there's more. I mean, the thing is, folks, as we've talked about all this summer, didn't have all this early part of the winter. That's nicely hit by Pope down behind square to third man. Rabada's down there, and he'll get himself a single and off strike. Folks didn't set the world on fire with his batting. He's clearly the better keeper. I think they'll probably take him to Sri Lanka because he was there last time, and you need a proper keeper.
Actually, in Test cricket, he's averaging just over 40. He did score 100 in that Sri Lanka tour, but he had a poor county season with the bat in a misfiring Surrey team.
How many tests he played?
He's only played 3 or 4.
There you
I
go.
think.
So I mean,
but still,
a batting average of 40 after 4 tests.
He did score 100 in that series.
Yeah, no, he did, and he looked all right,
And his keeping is obviously superb.
Absolutely. And again, this points to all these youngsters coming into the batting. If you've got Burns, Crawley, and options of Sibley for the top 3, and Pope secures a place at 6, then maybe you can go back to a team that has a slightly weaker batting keeper.
And you've got Moe to potentially fit into the team somewhere.
Yeah, and Curran, if he stays in the team, he's not a bad 8, is he? Let's face it. Defended back down a track towards mid-on.
You can imagine a spinner would come in for Curran in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. Yeah, I mean,
Moen probably.
Moen.
If he's
we'd
available.
like Moen to be back. Yeah.
And I'd love the get the band back together. Moen, Adil Rashid, and Jack Leach, all wicket-taking spin bowlers for Sri Lanka.
Adil's still having trouble with his shoulder.
He is, and his contract situation at Yorkshire is still up in the air. I think he should leave Yorkshire and go to a county who actually value him.
Yeah, possibly. Philander is around the wicket to Sammy Curran, who's starting to look a little bit more settled now. Yeah. He's gotten behind the ball nicely there and just defends it back to the bowler, no run.
Jim Dale is clearly a man of some refinement. His Twitter handle is Mr. T82, and he's a Favorian English gentleman, pipe smoker, dashing opening batsman, crucive herbalist, mountaineer extraordinaire, and consumer of fine tea and biscuits. But says, very smartly, I'm to a friend of his, I'm surprised you're not onto Guerrilla Cricket. I'm enjoying the chats and the jingles.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you with us, Jim. Chris the Choir says, glad you said it was a Rhineland accent. I was confused. Only dialect I know is Einsvai go so far. Okay, that's a conversation I think with Linux Lear and ourselves somewhere. I'm not quite sure of
what it's on about.
Its history.
Teutonic talk.
Defended back to the bowler once more by Sammy Khan. Flounder around the wicket, no run. 369 for 6, England. Fans look quite happy.
The camera operator has got bored and has started. It's good that usually the South African TV directors pick out women in bikinis, but now they're mostly picking out tourists and sleeping people.
I think we've started a trend. Dozy large gentlemen.
Yeah.
No, they're the new hot blondes.
Absolutely. Dad bod, dozy people. Nicely driven square off the back foot by Curran, but can't beat Elgar, who's at point. There's no run.
The
2 old folks in the crowd have been woken up.
I now want to found a nomadic cricket team called Dozy Large Gentlemen CC.
Hello on Crick Tracker to a number of people.
Hello. Cheers, in fact. It's Friday.
Akula Suleiman and Danush Rajagiri are but 2, so hello to you.
Welcome all. Please do tell us where you're listening from. We like to know our global reach.
Philander is in, nicely driven square. That's a good shot by Sammy Khan. Typical left-hander, leans into the ball. It's outside his off stump, drives it sweetly out to the cover boundary. 4 runs. England moving to the 70s. And that's the 370s.
In answer to your question,
it'll be time for drinks. It's time for a change then.
Plenty of catching up time then. Prabin Napain says, I am from Nepal.
Welcome.
So welcome indeed.
Welcome Nepal.
Chris Marty says, I think if Rabada did the same pose at the position he is when he sees that he is bowled Root, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but he deliberately runs up right next to Root first.
I don't mind that. I really
think
don't
that was
mind that.
Yeah, look, the third umpire made a call and letter of the law. It's demerit, and he's accumulated so many. I do think Rabada probably gets a slightly harsher rap from match referees than some cricketers. A little bit like, sort of Luis Suarez or Diego Costa or something in football.
Yeah, probably true.
So Mr. Jim Dale's friend is called Dan O'Brien, who says, I didn't know about it. I'm listening through a certain type of Wi-Fi speaker, so might not be able to link with them. We'll check. Well, Dan, we are now on the edge of our seats, wanting to know if you were successful or not.
Well, you should be able to. If he's talking about Sonos, then you can just do it through TuneIn.
You absolutely can. You can do it through TuneIn.
Yeah.
But you won't hear that. But Jim Dale will hear that and can hopefully tell you. So go, if that certain type of speaker
we're trying to
is
help.
Sonos,
We're trying to help.
then you can get us absolutely through TuneIn. Go to favourite stations, etc. The wonderfully named Duke of Umbridge, live from the gates of hell, says, my dear Gorilla Cricket, the Duchess just had an episode. A Pavlovian reaction as soon as Butler got out to that shot. She couldn't stop herself shouting, folks! Like someone with severe Tourette's.
Oh, well, we're kind of with her here.
I think the Duchess is not actually alone on that one.
No, I don't think
your
so.
Dukeship. Let me see. Nick D and then Joss after the Lawsmere show. Oh, then Joss or Dross. Well, let's not be too unkind, because let's face it, he has done some wonderful things. But I think were it not for, I don't think even arguably the best wicketkeeper in the country sitting at home, he probably wouldn't be getting quite the heat he's getting. Grits and Grats says, when Annie Chave is on, she does get a lot of passionate audience attention. But I want to say no. I love Tony Bishop. And I want to have his babies. Oh, goodness me.
Who's that?
Oh, that's Grits and Grats.
Oh.
So, okay, my private mobile number is... well, crikey. It's not a shoot-off or shoot-out between me and Annie.
Get your mic,
Annie.
Tony. You've pulled.
Yeah. Any more?
Lennox Lear says, that's not what I said, Tony. Holding is asking Naz if the two of them together could beat up Ward. Sorry, Lennox Lear, I hadn't appreciated that, but I now see what you're talking about. Messi Jazz says, I blame Grubby78 Annie Chase for Joss's patheticness. That's a little bit harsh. He's been totally dazzled by the stars in their eyes. Oh, well, there you go. They are quite a collective fan club, aren't they?
They are indeed.
Joss kind of gets judged by the standards of his world-dominating one-day international and T20 brilliance.
Yeah, well, exactly. And maybe he should stay in that sphere, and we can all dazzle at his wonders in those two formats and find someone who can keep better at.
Like I say, he's done okay since he came back into Test
He has,
cricket.
and I think also you've got to say for the last 2 or 3 years, England's batting has been pretty much all at sea. And so the idea of batting down to 9 or 10 is quite... plus the resources available, to be fair to England. The idea of batting down to 9, even 10, is quite appealing. But it's not necessary. Down the leg side, there's an appeal for caught behind. The umpire says no. They run out of reviews because they did a couple of crap ones earlier.
Dan De Castro points out that Curran's doing now what Butler should have.
Yeah.
It was off his thigh pan anyway.
It's a good take.
It was a good take. Maharaj round a wicket to Ollie Pope, who prods that one once away from his pads. It was well wide. He was right on top of it. No worries, out to cover. No run. Faces up again. Maharaj round a wicket. Down the track comes Ollie Pope. Clipped into the leg side. Can't quite beat the man at mid-wicket. He dives to his left. And it will be no run.
Jim Dale, our new friend, it says, I'm enjoying the relaxed approach to profanities in the original songs and jingles for each new batsman to the crease or bowling change.
Oh, no, I think he kept his foot on the ground. There's an appeal for stumping. They're going to go upstairs. I think he managed to keep his foot on the ground. I don't think it went off.
I don't think de Kock is looking overly exuberant.
I think, if anything, Pope was actually falling further back into the crease.
Exactly, and I think he kept, whilst he was losing balance, he always kept his back foot on the ground, I think, and I don't think he even dragged it out. It's not a no ball. Maharaj doesn't bowl them. Now all we need to see is the other end of the pitch. Yeah. We know it's not a no ball. Move on. Oh no, he was miles out of his fucking crease. But he gets his foot back. He's in.
That's a hell of a stretch.
That is a hell of a stretch. He did come down the track, dragged his back foot out, and then he quickly slid it back in. Yeah, and the bails hadn't even gone on. You only need to see it from the other side, but I don't think gloves are near the crease. It's not going to be out.
It's unlucky from Maharaj, because that's actually the fact that it's turned and bounced so much meant de Kock had to take the ball quite a long way from the stumps.
Yeah.
And he couldn't quite get the gloves back quick enough.
Mind you, the third umpire is blind Joel Wilson, so
Yeah.
the well-known,
You never know.
the well-known umpiring blues musician.
God, he was terrible, wasn't he? But actually got everything. Was it what series?
That's during
that?
the World Cup.
It was during the World Cup.
He's taken a bit of a backseat, hasn't he, recently?
And the first test of the Ashes.
That was it. It's the first test of the. He got fucking about 14 decisions wrong, didn't he, or something? If I remember rightly. Maharaj around the wicket and driven nicely. This time he gets the forward press in and gets it down. Elgar's a bit deep. Did they take the single? They didn't take the single. I haven't taken the single.
Dave
Maybe
Wood
he
has
did
a
so
nice caption for our triumvirate of Hussein Holding and Ward. And then Wardy said to me, "What do you know about bowling in tests?"
well. To who?
Well, that's Michael Holding talking to NASA.
Oh right, true. Cut behind square nicely by Ollie Pope, but can't beat Patson. He's a sort of short third man.
I've got
Deep
Dan
goal.
O'Brien news. Dan O'Brien news is now listening.
All right, Dan.
Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Dan.
All right, Dan.
Dan.
See, that's how we greet our listeners, Dan. You don't get out on TMS. I'm telling you.
It does help if your name enables us to do a pop culture joke from 25 years ago.
You're right about Pope there. He was sort of wibbly wobbling. He could have tilted either way.
Exactly, but he had the good sense. That's what I like. You know, he had the good sense. His back foot was always grounded. Everything else, he could have fallen over as long as his heel was on the ground. He wouldn't have given a shit.
He's been doing his yoga.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stretch.
That hip flexor.
373 for 6, England. They've gone a bit in their shell since Butler was out. I think that's a good thing. I think you need to bat long here, bat once. If there's rain on day 4, that's what I was going to go back to. That's why the draw is in favour slightly over England's, because day 4 looks like it could be a bit of a washout.
Our friend Dean Simister says Pope needs to keep grinding.
He does need to keep grinding indeed. Defended by Curran. Back to the bowler, Flounder around the wicket into his 16th over, no run. And Curran needs to play like this and play sensibly.
Yeah, I mean, he's scoring it close to 3 runs and over without really doing too much.
And that's fine.
And Pope at the other end. Afghanistan have smashed South Africa by 7 wickets after just 25 overs of their chase in the opening game of the Under-19 World Cup.
That's got to be
big statement from the Afghans.
It is.
Who do have, to be fair, a couple of players who were already playing senior international and franchise league cricket.
Well, I imagine, a new up-and-coming nation, there'll be a lot of players who get pushed into bigger situations than that, won't they? Play better quality. That's defended by Curran. Stands resting on his bat as he defends it out to extra cover, no run.
I mean, somehow in the 500th away test for England, it's a landmark, isn't it? You'd want them to post a big score. You wouldn't want to look back
500 for the 500th.
500 for the 500th. That may be beyond them. Annie Chaves back in, looking suitably. What's the word I'm looking for?
Pulls back in.
Suitably chastised for slow tweet reading.
Philander around the wicket, defended by Sammy Curran. Out into the covers, no run.
Everybody
slating you for not reading the tweets.
What's the next change, friends?
I think I'm moving. I'm going into
ball by ball jingle.
The ball by ball jingle seat, as we will now refer to it.
Bajingle. The
bajingle seat.
In the bajingle bajangle morning, I'll come following you,
Mr. Bajingles.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. Play a song for me,
Mr.
Bajingles. Sammy Davis B Jr. Can't beat a bit of Sammy Davis Jr.
Philander around the wicket, nicely cut by Sammy Curran. Presuming there's someone out there. There is indeed. It's Nokia, and he fields it. And he goes single. Sam Curran moves on to 15.
Bob Dylan actually did do a version of Mr. Bojangles. I can't remember on which album, but he did do one.
He's a version of Mr. Tambourine Man as well.
Well, he wrote Mr.
He wrote Mr. Tambourine
Man.
Yeah,
of course
he didn't write Mr. Bojangles.
The Birds did the cover. It's another one of those covers. It's like he wrote All on the Watchtower and Jimi Hendrix All on the Watchtower.
Absolutely right.
Cracking.
2 riders were approaching. The wind began to howl. That's such a great line to finish a song because it just leaves you wondering where it goes.
Yeah, it's a good song. It is a good song. Philander over the wicket, slower ball, I think. Driven nicely, opens that face once again. In fact, that's a fantastic shot. There's a man at behind square, deep backward point. And the cover's a little bit deeper. He's opened the face and sort of slapped it, breaks the wrist. It goes out towards the boundary, allowing him to get back to 2. He moves into 86. He's slowed down a lot since Stokes has got out, and that's the wise thing to do.
Dan De Castro says 420 is enough. You don't need 500.
No, I know you don't need 500. I prefer the higher 400. If the rain is going to come on day 4 and they get to 400 by sometime shortly after tea, they need to kick on and get to that point. They've got to get them in tonight, and they've got to think we've only got about once, for me personally. It's defended back up the track and there's no run. It means that they can enforce the follow-on if they think they're going to lose.
England can afford to be a little bit greedy. The reason I said India is because India have finally taken their first wicket of this ODI series, dismissing David Warner, caught by Manish Pandey at the bowling of Mohammed Shami. England 376 for 6 and looking to push on. We'll have Tony Bishop, we'll have Annie Chave, we'll have Paul Smith, but first we'll have Rihanna.
Hello, Rihanna.
Yep, you owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills, so please go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there's literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
As Maharaj was in, and rather rudely, Sam Curran interrupted Rihanna by absolutely smacking Maharaj out the ground. So he's clearly decided to go on the attack whilst we were having a change. Tossed up by Maharaj, and he just went straight back down the ground. It was a classic golf shot, wasn't it? 2-3 skips down the wicket, a full swing of the shoulders, and away it went, back over the bowler's head.
It's a fine shot.
Wasn't it a good shot? As onto the back foot goes Curran, worked away to mid-wicket. I'm in the presence of greatness.
Ample
Cricketing expertise, gorgeous long flowing blonde locks, and I've also got Annie here. And, as well as Warwickshire legend Paul Smith. So welcome back, Paul. Delighted hopefully you're having a good time.
Thank you, sir. No, fantastic.
Good. 383 for 6.
Can I just apologise, please, while I'm here?
You haven't done anything yet, have you?
Well,
Maybe I think that's the problem.
Obviously, I've given everyone a really difficult
Maharaj
time.
around the wicket. Forward comes Pope.
By not reading your bloody
away to backward point. It's never easy getting tweets in when you have someone like Maharaj bowling, because he wheels through those overs at a fair old lick.
Thank you.
So
well, you are 14 minutes behind as well, so you didn't catch up.
I think you'll find that represents catching up somewhat, as that one's pushed to mid-on by Ollie Pope. So he moves on to 87. Sam Curran's on 22. England are 384 for 6. We're in the 135th over. So, Paul, you'd said 400. They'd be disappointed if they stopped there at this stage, wouldn't they?
450.
I said 450. Don't try and steal mine.
Well, I'm just looking at, as we sit here now,
yeah.
I would say 450.
Maharaj is in again, drops it
Get the
outside the
board.
off stump, and Curran works this away. Is that Faf du Plessis himself, who goes scampering after that. And they will take another. Did they take 2 there, or did they take 1? I think they took 2, didn't they? It was,
looked like 2.
Yeah, they would have taken 2. It's the end of the over, so plenty of time for Annie to get into gear.
Right, here I go. Gary Naylor says, Joss Buttler not in England's best 20 red ball keepers, nor in the top 20 red ball batsmen. Enough. I'll move on from that. Lord Aram says, 1 century in 40 tests is instructive. Gary Nellis, 6 in 105 first-class matches. Oh dear. Jim Dale says, fame at last. I'll have to negotiate with our club secretary a new contract of 2 biscuits for every run I score next season.
It's a very splendid picture I notice he has as well. He looks like a
Yes, he looks very
classically
dapper.
elegant
Yeah.
English gent.
Dan O'Brien says they're now talking about me, and so I'm catching up with all of that. Jakub says, despite the fact he's one of our leading run scorers since 2018, admittedly today he played a bad shot, but generally doesn't give his wicket away. Thank you.
In the meantime, we will have a change of bowling. Anrik Norkia is going to replace Vernon Philander, so it's time for one amongst more mellifluous jingles. Here it is.
If your number one project is to have yourself a bride, I think I've got to your number one guy. He was bought by a franchise when he was buying meat. It's Anrik Norkie.
Delightful, absolutely delightful.
Whose tweet is that? Whose jingle
That's
is
Mog.
that?
That's
Oh,
Mog,
Mog,
in,
that's brilliant.
in Nokia ringtone mode as Nokia. 1 for 78 so far for him today. He's barrels in, right arm over and pushed to backward square by Pope. They decide not to run. Bit of a wild throw, but it was suitably backed up. 85 miles an hour there from Nokia. What were you bowling at when you were sort of at the upper end of your range, Paul?
Quicker than that.
Quicker than that. Yeah, no,
Well, how quick? Come on.
I was time mid-90s. The people from Lilleshall came down and filmed Donald, myself and Gladstone.
That's right, Nokia's in. Pope carves this away through point, but there is a man down at deep point. It's Kagisa Rabada. So for now, deep point is also the naughty step, I think, in the South African fielding positions. And they will take a single.
Talking of Gladstone, I've got a question from him for you as well.
You know. Open that book.
You read the book. Have you answered them all?
No.
And it's not about the baked bean incident either.
Okay.
You should read Paul's book to find out about the baked bean incident, by the way. But I will. We're not at the end of the over, are we?
Not yet.
No.
We're just seeing a lot of.
No, because Nokia had only literally
Yes,
just
that's
started
what I
it.
thought. Yes.
So quite what's going on here?
Do you think it's a streaker?
Something seems to have created a delay in proceedings, and I'm not quite sure what it is. But Nokia is coming around the wicket. It's probably fielding changes, I would imagine, as Nokia is in, and Curran just guides this away to cover. There is no run. 85 miles an hour, which, as Paul was in the process of telling us, is practically
Nothing.
Granny doing the shopping behind a milk float. Oh, there we go. I thought you were going to respond. 387 for 6.
He just
I
nodded.
was trying to picture Granny doing.
Nodding's not a good look on radio. Although we do have plenty on video, of course. We do have plenty of video followers. 88 for Pope, 24 for Curran, who's come in full of aggression and determination. And he cuts this away past Gully. There isn't a third man, and that is going to go all the way for one of these. Paul, I'm liking the way he's setting about his work here, Sam Curran.
He's keeping the impetus going, isn't he? I think it's important that we don't just hang around. I think we've got to look to stay on top. And if Annie's figure of 450 is the one, then if we score them quickly, then we sort of like stay on top,
Yeah,
and
I
we
suppose
take our bowlers onto into their
We're
ropes.
sort of quite deep into day two, aren't we, with a bit of a time. Ooh, and Curran was looking to pull Nokia away slightly short. And Curran was on the back foot, really looking to pull that away square. And he under-edged it onto just in front of his toes in the end. Certainly didn't go where he went. Maybe that just got up a little bit more than he was expecting and was on him a tad quicker than he was expecting, do you think? No, it certainly didn't get up, did
No.
it?
Maybe
on
the
the
fact-
second viewing.
Maybe the fact that he's coming round the wicket at him.
Yeah,
The
change of angle.
That change of angle makes it slightly more difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I've noticed that that's been a theme in this series generally, is as soon as you have a left-hander to be targeting, come in around the wicket, spear it in at his body, cramp him for space has been very much
These things go in
an
fashion.
approach. They do. So one slip in place as in comes Nortje. And very nicely played indeed by Sam Curran. There won't be a run because it's straight to cover. But he was beautifully behind it. So end of that over from Nortje. 1 for 83 for him. 391 for 6 England. A very gentle, almost sedate 80 miles an hour, that one.
With apologies to the people on Twitter, but I am going to ask this question of Paul from Gladstone. So he sent me a message saying, ask him about waking up at precisely 11 a.m. just as Bob Willis was about to charge in off his long run, only to pull up halfway as Joan Jett and the Blackhearts' I Love Rock and Roll came booming out from the house he lived at, or they lived at, in top of the Edgbaston car park.
What a question.
He never gets this right, Gladstone. I hadn't just woken up. I hadn't been to bed. But yes, it was true. As Willis was charging in to bowl the first ball of a championship match, I did open my windows and play music incredibly loud. And Willis, who loved very loud music, stopped playing and said he couldn't concentrate. So they had to send people across to the house to kick the door in.
To kick the door in, you couldn't hear the door.
Maharaj is going to continue. He's around the wicket to Pope. And Maharaj sort of collides as he looked to skip across. He collided with Sam Curran. No malicious intent on either part. And it all ends amicably enough. There's no run. 391 for 6 England. Maharaj in again. That one just turns back into Pope. But he pushes it to mid-wicket.
Did Willis give you a hard time?
Willis gave me a bollocking.
Were you supposed to have been fielding then?
No, I was in. I had stress fractures in my back.
Ah, okay. Oh dear,
Doesn't sound like you were looking after it very well.
Well, I was relaxing.
Is Maharaj is in again. That's an interesting shot from Pope. I think he suddenly realised almost at the last minute that he needed to just get a little bit further to the pitch of the ball than he originally thought. So he almost did a sort of a double scurry.
Like a Steve Smith shot.
It was, wasn't it? Ugly but effective. In comes Pope. In comes Maharaj. And Pope has steered this, but there is a man down at long off. It's Dane Patterson, who has his first Test wicket.
Yeah.
And his first Test wicket, none other than the ICC Cricketer of the Year. If
Not
you're
a bad
going
one, eh?
to get a first Test wicket, which everyone is at some point, if they're a bowler, hopefully, then
Wouldn't
that's
last long if you
really not a bad one to get. So England move on to 392 for 6. England are playing good, positive, aggressive cricket.
They certainly seem to be making a statement about 4-day tests and 5-day tests, don't they, at the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously Cape Town.
Yeah,
there's the
that
whole
was
debate
such a
around
great-
5-day tests. You could barely have timed a test match better to reinforce the argument that I think most of us believe that 5 days is right. As onto the back foot goes Curran. He's looking to carve this away through cover and extra cover, but goes straight to cover, so no run. Faf du Plessis is the man stationed there. He'll be desperate to try and get this England innings wrapped up for, I would think in his head, under 450 now. Down the track comes Curran, smacks this back over Maharaj's head. One bounce into that long off boundary, and it's 4 more for England.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Yeah, he got after that, didn't he? Just every so often. I mean, poor Maharaj, I actually do feel sorry for him, because he's having to combine this workhorse role with also wicket taking.
Yeah, and the position
He could
England are in
do-
at the
if he-
moment.
It would be really interesting if South Africa had another spinner. I know Elgar's probably the next option, and he's kind of part-time, isn't he?
Yeah.
But spinners so often operate better in tandem. It'd be interesting to see that opportunity. It'd be interesting to hear what Paul would think about that.
He's got to do a job, hasn't he?
Well, he has got to do a job. Yeah.
Children used
You're
to
hard. You're a hard man.
Children used to work in mines in Cornwall.
And up chimney.
So all that. So I think that in an ideal world, everyone would only work in the conditions in which they were due to potentially excel. This guy's got to do a job for his country, and if nothing else, he's learning.
Indeed, 3.96 for 6. Enric Norkia is continuing. That's on the leg stump. Is a big shout. Surely that was going down leg side. And I think the reaction of umpire Oxenford would suggest that that was the case. And South Africa don't seem overly concerned. Maybe it was just Enric Norkia who's desperate to get his second wicket, feeling that he might be in the game there. But to me, that looked like it was heading way. Oh, it was a mile down leg.
Yeah.
In fact, he was outside. He was outside a leg stump anyway. So not only was he hit outside of leg stump, it was going down leg stump.
Definitely should stop looking hard done by.
In the school of optimistic appeals, that was probably a 9 out of 10. I think.
I feel the pressure to read some tweets, so I really need to at some point. So
after this
ball, I'll read one maybe.
Pope stands ready. Norkia's right arm over. Cut by Ollie Pope. There's going to be a man down there. It's Rabada. He has to dive away to his left, and they will take 2. So Pope moves into the 90s.
Okay.
England 389 for 6.
Gary Naylor says, Ari Rabada, he does it, consciously or subconsciously, to get a reaction from the batsman. In other words, the same reason bowlers sledge batsmen. Does he have to actually poke a batsman in the eye before a sanction? Any retaliation would raise a hue and cry. Okay, that's a opinion.
He's all right there. Yeah, we were having another look at that Rabada piece of fielding.
He's definitely all right.
He did slide into it, but he flicked it back very smartly, and probably it was a good second or so before his foot clipped the Betway boundary board. Norkia will be in again. No slip again, but a gully. And forward comes Pope. Just drops the bat on it, and there's no run.
Leah says, Warner's gone. Caught Pandy bowled Shami. I repeat, the greatest Bradman in international cricket is out.
Warner. Oh, Warner's gone. Warner's gone.
Warner,
I'm with you now.
Not Warren gone.
Warner's gone. I'm with you. 398. So England are on the cusp of that 400. Ollie Pope is on the cusp of potentially a Test match ton. And that would be... Well, they won't come up together because Pope is on, 91 now, isn't he? And only 2 runs needed to get England to that landmark. On the drive, but on the drive straight to cover from Pope, so no run. 398 for 6, 192. So Norkia starting to crank up for you now. He's not quite at Paul Smith in his pomp speed, but not bad.
He keeps coming in though. That's the key.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that South Africa really went for pace in sort of putting together this attack. Whether it's the pitch that's actually built for that, I'm not yet convinced. As this was pulled short and pulled by Pope. One bounce though down to Patterson, who's on that deep mid-wicket boundary, so will only net Ollie Pope a single. He'll move on to 92. England move to 399. So actually they only take a single there then in that case. Yeah.
Are South Africa blessed with lots of spin options?
No.
That's what I'm not sure, and that possibly is why Maharaj is getting such a workload. But I think you're right. And there's at least one of them who could be probably arguably playing, taking wickets for fun for Essex.
Harmer.
Fine bowler.
Fantastic. What a fantastic bowler.
Damn him.
Yes. Spoken from the heart.
Fine competitor.
Oh yeah.
He is, yes, absolutely.
One ball left
Somerset.
of this Norkia over. He's coming around the wicket to the left-handed Curran, who plays that to the Mannerborn. Stylish, high-elbowed defence, and there's no run.
Right. Matt Searle says, Trafford Council approved the latest plans for Old Trafford this week. New 4,850 seater stand, which take capacity of Old Trafford to 26,700, making it the largest ground outside of London. Plans afoot, maybe.
Yeah.
Fraser Middleton says declaration as soon as Pope gets his century? Question mark. I think that'll probably be early.
We're not yet at tea. Yeah, I think England, rather than declare, would rather just keep smacking and see where that gets them at the moment, because I think they would back themselves to get amongst the wickets early.
I'd say more.
That would be my inclination.
Yeah.
Paul, what would be yours? Too early for a declaration, or do you think that might be on the cards?
I think they should back for an hour after tea and then let the tiger loose.
Yeah.
Try and get 450.
Now, interesting enough,
Elgar.
look what we've got. They've been listening to us. It's Dean Elgar who drops it short and is carved away, but there will be a man out there on the deep cover boundary, and it will just be a single for... well, the 400's up, most importantly. It was a single for Pope. He moves on to 93. 400 for 6, England. So that's a big landmark for them. Pope is 7 away from a big landmark for him. And interestingly, South Africa have now turned to a spinner to try and help out the beleaguered Maharaj.
Well, you were just
with
feeling
a bit of spin
sorry for
from
him,
both ends. Elgar, left arm over and just tickled into the leg side. No run by Sam Curran. I think he picks his shots well, Sam Curran. He's gone on the attack when he's needed to, but he hasn't really chased anything that wasn't there to be hit, has he? Oh, that's an absolutely... Well, actually, I might take that back. It was worked around the corner. I think it might go all the way. There is a man down there. It's just hoved into view. It's Anolik Nokia. At first, I thought it was an absolute piece of filth down the leg side. Curran got something on it, but it seemed to dip at the last minute, and that last minute dip turned it into a rather better ball than I was going to give it credit for.
It's those sort of balls that
When
definitely get them out. Isn't it?
Well, they're on the old filth can take wickets principle. When it left his hand, I just thought, what a horrible delivery that was. Elgar, he's in again. This one's fuller, and Curran has gone after this. Has he got enough on it? It's a one bounce down to Rabada, who is down there at long on. And long off, because it was Curran, wasn't it? And he will get a single.
Well, they'll be happy to see them hitting in the air like that.
Well, Ollie Pope will have 2 Dean Elgar balls to face in the 90s. Do you think, Paul, there might just be a little bit of psychology here of a man? Would it be his maiden ton for Pope?
I think it would be.
Yeah. If that were the case, you've got a man in the 90s, as this one is just pushed down to Patterson. It would be another single for Pope. He moves on to 94. The partnership is 50 from these two off 75 balls. So very, very well played indeed. 404 for 6 England. No, my question was the psychology of a young batsman in his 90s, and you throw on another spinner to just try and sort of tempt him a little bit, as this one is worked by Curran at 2 mid-wicket.
There could be an element of psychology in it. You could also look at it and think, well, none of the seamers look as if they're going to get a wicket.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? I need to do some tweets. StrangeCarrots.com says, nothing to say at this moment. Annie, just keeping you on your toes. Thank you. DLGCC says, delighted that you're promoting the wonderful dozy large gentleman's CC. If you have sufficient girth and lethargy and capacity to drink, you can join simply by following us. We'll get back to you when we sleep off the hangover.
Marvellous.
And Leah says, the baked bean incident should be the title of an album of Guns N' Roses covers done in thick British accents.
I like it.
I like the sound of that. Definitely like the sound of that.
Durban Oak says, good afternoon. It's hot here in Durban. Hot, hot, hot. At what stage do I turn over and sledge?
Turn over and what?
Turn over and sledge Guerrilla Cricket South Africa. Sorry.
No, don't do that. We don't want that. They're still friends.
George Young says he's had a huge number of tests to prove himself, and there are other better qualified candidates to replace him. I'm sure that's going on about Joss. So I'll move over from that.
Totally impartially, Annie Chave decides to spend no time at all on anything that says a bad thing about Joss Butler.
The full
editorial control on Butler tweets in the hands of an absolutely rabid Somerset fan. Goodness me. 405
I do apologise.
Maharaj is going to continue. Let's see what they're going to do with the field here. He's going to be bowling to Sam Curran rather than the Pope in the nervous 90s, my venerable brother, the Bishop of Rome. And onto the back foot goes Curran, carved away through cover. Is there a man at deep cover? No, there isn't. And that will be 4 runs to him. He'll move on to 40, England to 409. Oh, and I should be doing... there you go.
You're the jingles.
He's played well, Curran.
Hasn't he just?
Take the pressure off the other guy.
Well, as we were saying, I think he's played every ball on its merits, and there have been enough for him to hit. But he's also conscious that I'm sure England have a total in mind, and he's conscious he's probably the last man to get them there. Dom Bess hasn't been able to buy a run yet in this series. As onto the back foot goes Curran, as if to prove that point by playing a very judicious, careful defensive shot into the leg side. Poor old Maharaj wheels away. He does have 2 wickets to his name, but again he's gone for a century of runs, 129 his toll so far. He's in again, down the track this time comes Curran, and it's gone through mid-off for 4, so he will move on to 44 with a shot of real intent away through that was a sort of a lofted off drive, wasn't it? Or did he hit it into the ground? But either
Your
way,
jingle, Tony.
it was. I will do in a second. Diving away to his left was poor old Nokia, and he wasn't going to get anywhere close. Yeah, so Sam Curran is clearly got
Going
his
for
landmark
it.
in mind.
Mm.
Oh, has he got enough of that? He's lofted it away to mid-wicket and taken by Dean Elgar out there on that deep mid-wicket boundary. Maharaj has a 3rd wicket to his name. He barely celebrates it because, well, I think he's just feeling a bit put upon, but well played him. South Africa have done well there because they've seen the way Curran's playing. We'd been lauding Sam Curran's ability to pick the right ball to hit. This time he just couldn't resist. He went for that lofted hoik towards the mid-on boundary, and Dean Elgar, Aussie style, fingers up, down on one knee, made absolutely no mistake. And Sam Curran, I'm afraid, has to go. He seemed to get it well enough, Paul, didn't he? He just
got under
just
it, didn't he?
It
quite
just
enough.
went higher rather than
Yeah.
longer.
Distance.
Yep, that was that. I'm afraid was the case. So we're going to be seeing, I would imagine. Gosh, they're keeping on.
Wood?
Those. No.
Oh.
It'll be Dom Bess, but
Oh.
Dom Bess
Oh, yes.
bagged himself a pair in Cape Town, didn't he? And not only did he bag himself a pair, one of them was of a golden hue.
Yeah. I mean, he is a decent bat, Don Bess, as well.
And he's proved it. He's proved it for England at
Yeah,
Headingley,
yes,
remember?
yeah.
He batted quite superbly, didn't he? Did he make 40 odd, as my recollection?
I'm not sure he didn't get 50. Am I wrong?
But
I might
England
be-
certainly had their backs to the wall in that game, and he showed commendable control and
Yeah.
nous for a young man. But yes, he is going to be the man to the crease.
Played for Exeter, Don Bess did.
Football or cricket?
Cricket.
Oh, okay, could have been either. Could have been either. I'm just trying to find him. Where is he? Here he is.
Emerge from the county scene where he plies his trade. It's Dominic Bess, selected for the Euro test. The latest in a long
Yeah, indeed, his highest score versus Pakistan at Lord's 57.
I thought he got 50.
But he also,
yeah.
I'm sure I also recall him being part of a pretty impressive rear guard at Headingley in that
I
same
think he did
series.
a couple of good innings.
Maharaj gives this some air, and down the track comes. That was Pope. So they obviously crossed whilst that ball was in the air. So Maharaj and Elgar have formed a partnership in ways perhaps they hadn't foreseen there. bowling together, but one taking a catch off the other. In comes Maharaj, left arm around the wicket. Back foot by Pope, carved through point. There is a man down there. Is Van der Dusen. So it's another single for Pope, who seems to be edging his way towards that ton in increments of 1. But he'll accept that, I reckon, if he gets there.
I've got a tweet from Durban Oak who says, Willis was a Wagner fan. You should have played Ride of the Valkyries. He would have charged in faster.
Interesting thought.
Unfortunately, I don't get the opportunity to ask him.
No.
God
No,
rest his soul.
sadly not now. Very sadly not now. He was certainly a Bob Dylan aficionado.
Huge.
One of the things that endeared him to me, for sure.
He was at the famous Dylan Electric gig.
Oh, was he? Did he storm
65.
Yeah, he
When
was
someone shouted Judas.
out? Did he storm out?
No, he loved it. He said it was an event.
I bet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was Albert Hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're having another look at that haul away to leg. And,
God, I did miss that.
I think it was comfortable enough by Olga. But Curran did the job he was intended to do. It's a shame
He did Butler's job, didn't he, really?
didn't quite. Well, he kind of did.
Mm.
He's a man for all seasons, though. He's the Thomas Moore of the England side, I reckon, at the moment. Is Sam Curran. He'll play the sort of circumstances, whatever the circumstances may be. If you need gritty rear guard, he'll have a go. If you need to attack, he'll attack. If you need to do something with the bowling that the others aren't quite doing, he'll come on and probably do it for you.
Team man.
As Nokia is in, and that's carved. Again, it's carved straight to deep backward point, where Dane Patterson is the man. So it's another single to Ollie Pope.
Just want to say hi
He's within one shot if he could do it now of
So-
that ton.
Sorry, I just want to say hi to Nazir Saki on Crick Tracker and Vikendra Jurja. I think I pronounced those perfectly.
I can see Arav Fujuki saying, "Hell, my dear lovely friends." I think it's hello, rather than wishing us into sort of the flames of Hades. 4:15 for 7. And Norkia is going to be bowling the second ball of his 24th over. He's tossing the ball from hand to hand before setting off on that trotting run-up of his. A slip and a gully are there, and Bess tucks in behind it, plays straight, conscious that he wants to get some runs on the board. I am absolutely sure.
Got an interesting tweet from Gary Naylor here. He says, to those of us who saw Paul Smith bowl, he was as quick as Craig White, who was regularly 90 miles per hour and plus on the speed gun. Very sharp indeed at his best. There you are. That's Gary Naylor, who is also a gorilla.
Thank you, Gary. It's very kind.
As in comes Norkia, worked away off his legs. But there's a man down there at long leg, and it will just be a single. So Bess is off the mark.
That was a dubious point, made with hyperbolic conviction by Gary.
Yeah, it wasn't dubious, by the way. It was actually a perfectly reasonable
but
point.
you wanted to
But
put
I need-
yeah.
But it just occurred to me I could, even though he's tweeting from afar, we'll still play his jingle.
I've got a tweet from Leah saying, yes, Annie, Warner is out. He's been out. So he's out for about 20 minutes now. Sorry, Leah. I'm sorry.
In fact, that is probably the first ODI that you've read that tweet about. 4:16 for 7. Pope now he's going to be facing Angelic Norkie. He's on 96. Full. And just push straight to mid-on on this occasion. Hints of nerves, do you think, Paul, with Pope? What's going through his head, do you reckon? Is it just concentration, or is he aware of the imminence of the moment?
He's certainly aware of the fact he's on 96.
Yeah, it must be quite a big moment, I'd say.
Well, I think the key is you have to just keep focusing on the ball that's coming at you.
Yep, very
and
much
whatever
so.
will be, will be.
Que sera, sera. Nokia is going to be bowling again from the Park Drive end towards the duck pond. And he's in full, and Pope again straight to Faf du Plessis at mid-wicket. Now I would assume Faf here will be looking to try and build as much pressure as he can. A young man on 96 in a test match, you'd really want to be. I mean, it's stating the obvious to go. You want to put the fielders where he's going to hit it. But
You want to get him out, don't you?
well, funny enough,
You want to bowl dot balls. That's what you want to bowl.
you want to bowl dot balls, and you want to keep frustrating him. And I mean, if you wanted to just get him out, you go, runs don't matter. What we're going to do is just put 4 slips, 2 gullies, man at forward short. But I think you want to frustrate him. Norkia's in, worked off his legs. That one is through mid-wicket, and he will be there. Will he get over the ball? There it is. It is the 100. Ollie Pope has 100 to his name. He hit one of these. And most importantly, it means he gets one of, where is he? Oh, hundreds. Century, he's got one of these.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Congratulations, sir. You are a centurion.
His helmet is off.
Great innings.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Basking in the applause, and as
Good on you, Ollie.
magnificent effort. So he's exactly 100 not out. England have moved to 4 24/7, but this moment is all about young Ollie Pope. 190 balls, 14 fours, no sixes, a strike rate of 52, 337 minutes, but it has been a quite magnificent effort for his team.
He's been there a long time.
337 minutes.
Yeah.
And so beautifully played. There will be Surrey fans, well, wherever they may be,
They'll be saying, "We told you should play him."
Air simultaneously with him. Last season, he would have played so much more first-class cricket had it not been for that terrible injury he had that sort of rather bookended his season. But when he came back, he batted magnificently. Bess tickles this ball from Maharaj around the corner. Decides not to run. He's very much cast here in that supporting role.
Didn't he score 300s in the last 3 games?
Yeah, he did. No, absolutely right. So having been out for a long time with injury, in a sort of a fairly nondescript season for Surrey. Oh, what a ball that was! And that one turned away from the outside edge of Bess's bat. And
Bess will be pleased.
well, interestingly, there's always a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're a sort of a lower order batsman who is a spinner, and suddenly a ball rips and turns past your bat, part of you goes, well, that was a decent ball, I'm sorry I didn't hit it. The other one goes, I can't wait to get out there myself. Maharaj comes around the wicket. Bess again.
I think he's given
jumps him a little bit.
I think he's given it more of a bit of a rip the last couple of balls.
Buoyed up, do you think, by that 3rd wicket?
Yeah, why would he do it now?
Emotions and confidence are funny things.
He's in again around the wicket. That one turns again away from the right-handed Bess. It's just guided though to short third man where Kagiso Rabada is grazing. We've discussed, of course, at huge length today the rights and wrongs of him not being in the 4th test. As forward comes Bess. Played that nicely. Played it solidly. Big smile on his face as he looks back down the track at Maharaj. Good to see. 50 miles an hour. 4:24.7 England. And we have 1 ball left of the 142nd over. And this one's slightly shorter. And Bess is able to go onto the back foot, guide it straight to point to where Van der Dusen has stationed himself. And there's no run. So that concludes that over. England are up 424.7.
Okay, I'm on YouTube at the moment, and Edward Smith says, "Congratulations, Ollie Pope, Maiden's Test century." On Twitter, How's That Fine Leg says, "Why isn't Simon Harmer playing for South Africa?" Well, he's playing for Essex. Messi Jez, is Old Trafford multiple use? The smallness of English stadia compared with Australian ones always seems anomalous, but then most Australian ones get more use from football than cricket. Bamboo Shire says Elgar's jingle. Is it the cello concerto by Elgar?
Elgar's jingle is actually no, it's one of the Enigma variations, and it's one of the most best known ones, and it's temporarily gone outside from my head. But when it comes back to me, I will let you know. But it is indeed a piece of Elgar music. It's so well known as well. It's driving me crazy. I'll let you know when I'm not thinking about it. It'll come into my head, and I'll suddenly let you know. Probably in the middle of Norkia's run-up, we'll see. He's bowling to Ollie Pope, and that's down leg and flicked out by Pope, but taken comfortably enough by Quinton de Kock.
Arthur Patricia
4:20 for 7
is saying Paul Smith at his best was better than Craig White at his best. There you are.
Well, it's very kind. Craig was a fantastic cricketer, so I don't mind being put in that league. That's very kind of you.
Should have played more for England, do you think, Craig White?
Yeah, but it was interesting times, the way they picked teams then.
Oh, indeed. You were in, you were out, you were in, you were out. As this one is guided straight to short third man, and there is no run.
I don't think there was much strategy. They may try and defend themselves in 2020 about what they did in the 90s and 80s and whatever, but I don't think it was very good. And there are certain people who thought it was easier to get in the England team and stay there than it was to get out.
As Nokia wheels at the top of his run. He's in short. And did Curran manage to lay something on that?
I don't.
Did Pope, sorry, did lay something on that? He fell over backwards.
I'm
guessing that might be buys. It's definitely 4. We shall just see 4 of what? He accidentally, with no intent at all, periscopes that, but he periscopes it high and handsome, one bounce for one of these. Remarkable shot. Well, when your luck's in, your luck's in. Or you make your own luck, or whichever cliche you want to show, but we want to use. But I think that he's been doing that for sure. Norkia will probably be disgruntled by that, but that's pushed straight to mid-wicket. No run.
Better to try that when you're on 100 rather than 96.
Well, the thing is, I don't think he tried it. I think he.
I know.
I think he was trying to get out of the way.
It followed him, didn't it?
It did. What about? I'm hearing something from the green room, but obviously I have headphones on, so all I can hear is Hendo's. I don't know what he was actually telling me.
He's shouting at you.
I know he's shouting at me, but I always like to know if I'm being shouted at what I've actually done.
I've had a lifetime of that.
In comes Norkia. And Pope drops the bat on that. They'll take an easy single because there's no man at point, Sam Northeast, if you're listening. Again, a run goes begging for want of a point. And Pope's first Test match century in quite magnificent effort.
Looks like a butterfly.
His part. Yeah, we're looking at his pitch map. I think the most important point being that he scored all around the wicket, which suggests he's a quality batsman now. He's young enough to continue to get better. And I think for England is a very, very exciting prospect indeed.
Absolutely.
Norkia is going to be bowling to Dominic Bess. And Bess just plays this quite nicely. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. And there's no run, 85 miles an hour. And that's the end of the over.
Mogg says there's not many popes who can claim to have made it to 100. Although that wily old bugger Pelagus II gave it his best. Apologies if I've
That's interesting. What did he get to then?
Yeah, probably 99. Jeff Perkins says, what smoke signal does the Vatican use for a papal century?
Papal century? I think they'd let off fireworks, wouldn't they? If you have white smoke for electing a pope, black smoke for not quite making up your mind yet. I think a century by a pope should be a whole firework display.
Vatican's a city, yeah?
Yeah, city within a city. as Maharaj is in, and Pope tickles this around the corner.
With its own police force?
Its own army. Don't forget the Swiss Guard. The Swiss Guard, yeah. And its own cricket team.
Okay.
There is a Vatican cricket team, though.
Does it have a pub?
I don't know if it has a pub. You'd like to think it must do. It'll have somewhere. Anyway, that was a single taken by Pope. He's on 106. Don Bess will be back onto strike to face yet more of Kisha Maharaj, who has 3 wickets to his name, but for the somewhat expensive cost of 135, but from 53 overs now, in his 54th. I'm sure he's about 6 inches shorter than when he started. That one cuts back in to Bess. Hits the pad once again. Oh, he's got him. How did that happen? Was he caught?
Off. Leading edge.
Good Lord, leading edge to silly mid off. And Don Bess, well, he's done better than Cape Town, but not by much. He's gone for 1 off 10 balls. Do you know what? I'm not sure he's going to mind that too much, Don Bess. Well, it was it an inside edge onto pad? It was.
I think it's leading edge.
A leading edge? It was a leading edge, and it was straight to Milan, who's under the lid there at forward short leg. And Don Bess, well, for some reason he's having to wait.
Yeah, what was
I
he
think
checking?
it's because it's tea.
Oh.
So it's tea. He therefore is going to have to wait for, and quite rightly, will wait for Ollie Pope, as indeed he should. So 26 overs in this session, 91 runs, 4 wickets. But crucially, Ollie Pope has got to his 100. He's still the not-out batsman. England 426 for 8. We suspect they will continue on after tea. And I shall give you a quick little run through the scorecard as Knuckle tees us up.
The slow left arm is going to finish with 5 for here.
It could well be. It could well be.
I think 450's looking good as well.
Stokes was caught by Elgar off the bowling of Patterson for 120. Ollie Pope, of course, is not out. A splendid 106. Joss Butler, a rather disappointing 1 caught and bowled off Maharaj. Sam Curran played quite magnificently, but was caught in the deep by Elgar off Maharaj. Don Bess, as we've just seen, leading edged to forward short leg, and he went off the bowling of Maharaj as well. So Maharaj has 4 now for 135, and England 426 for 8. What should we tee up for tea, Knuckle? Can I leave that to you? And we shall catch you after tea.
When in fact, they're probably the last person on earth who should be sat in front of the person who has issues in their life. The